Good morning and welcome to the fourth and final day of the Stour and Orwell Walk. So just behind me is the village of Shotley Gate, and I'm following the Stour Estuary all the way to Cattawade. It's about 12 miles I think, but already got this lovely view over the estuary, massive ship over there at Harwich Port, and the cranes of Felixstowe Port are behind me over there. So this section of the route is actually really quite rural. Don't really pass many villages or anything like that. There is a little detour into the village of Shotley where there's a shop if you need any food, and then I think it's at Holbrook, I can't remember. There is a pub as well, which is only a quarter of a mile off the trail, which I think is where I'm going to stop at for some lunch, because it's about 8 miles or so there. So it's really well placed for a lunch stop. So I've just arrived here at Erwarton Hall, and it's a lovely Grade 2 star listed building dating to 1575. But out the front is this wonderful gatehouse, which is Grade 1 listed and dates to 1549, so it predates the house by sort of 25 or so years, and is actually an outstanding example of Renaissance architecture that's been applied to a gatehouse. So after crossing fields for a few miles, I managed to get this absolutely epic view across the Stour Estuary. I've had a look on the camera and zoomed right in, and actually at the far end over there is Meindl, and you can see the big factory and stuff there in the quay. And I've also got a view over this way to the Royal Hospital School Tower, which I'll be passing relatively close to quite soon. It'll be really, really interesting, hopefully, to get a nice view of that. But for the moment, it's all about this massive expanse of water, and the tide is still really far out. There's acres and acres of mudflats at the moment, which must be full of wildlife. I haven't seen much yet today. I've seen a few skylarks and kestrels, but not much in terms of wading birds, obviously, because I haven't been by the estuary yet. I do know that the last few miles of this walk really does hug the edge of the estuary, and I'm really looking forward to that. So I've just passed the small kind of marina area near Lower Holbrook, which is just behind me over there, and I'm now following the estuary wall with these wonderful views looking out that way. Now, the actual old right-of-way used to follow this bank out here, but they've allowed it to flood and then reclaim this area, and they've put the new wall down this way in a straight line. From here, I've got a cracking view inland as well to the Royal Hospital School, and that dates to 1925, the building, and it's grade 2 star listed, and that's actually an independent boarding school. I've just arrived here at Stutton Green, and this is the lovely Church of St Peter, which is grade 2 star listed and dates to about the 15th century. But it's worth noting that on the end of the east wall is actually a window that dates to the 12th century, so it's either been brought over from a much older church that was demolished, or this actually was predated by a much older church. Just had a lovely meal at the pub in Stutton. I thought it was going to be at Holbrook, but it wasn't. It was at Stutton. Really nice food, and sat outside and enjoyed it in the sunshine. And I've just left the village now, and I've got a lovely view over to Crepping Hall, which the core of which dates to the 16th century and is grade 2 listed and has an 18th century brick front to it. And this path that I'm on now is actually going to lead me all the way down to the very edge of the estuary. And it seems to have been ages since I walked along the estuary. I've probably done about 8 miles or so of countryside walking with views down to it, but now I'm actually going to be right on the edge. Check out this absolutely glorious view over a huge expanse of the Stour Estuary. On the far side over there I can see Mistley, and there's a big factory there that I walked past when I did the Essex Way. A few boats, swans down here. I think there's some brent geese in the water down here as well. Now I'm just past Stutton Ness, and it's quite an important thing to say here that the path I think has changed since it was devised, this route. So there's been a bit of a collapse in the cliff down at Stutton Ness Point. So I checked the Suffolk Coast and Heath website, and there were absolutely no reports of any issues on this route at all. But I distinctively remember, I think, a tweet going out maybe 6 months or a year ago saying that there was a collapse there and that the footpath had been closed. But I assumed that it had all been sorted out prior to starting this walk, as there were no problems reported. But there is still an issue there, and I think people have actually kind of altered the path slightly and coming behind this great big mass of brambles, so it actually follows the edge of the field. You do get nice views over to the estuary every now and then, but I do believe, I was under the impression that the path was actually on the left hand side of these brambles before, but due to erosion it's just, the path's gone, so people have just kind of created their own one along the field edge here. I don't know if this is an official right of way or anything like that. It does show it on a map, but again, I say it shows it being just a few meters that way over the edge of the cliff. So just come across a little tiny walkway down to the beach, and I actually found some waymarks that point us off the beach and up onto a permissive footpath up here, but at the other side there were definitely no waymarks saying that you had to go down onto the beach. So that's the way to go. Follow the beach. Don't follow the cliff top path that I did. not very nice up there. Follow the beach. And here we are now at Cattawade picnic site, which is officially the end of the Stour and Orwell Walk. It also marks the end of the Stour Valley Path as well, which I finished a couple of years ago, and if I remember, I'll try and put a link in the description below. It's a little bit uninspiring. It's quite a nice little park. You've got a bit of the River Stour here. If you're using public transport, there is a train station at Manningtree about a mile or so down the road that way. There's a footpath all the way down, and that would be the best way to try and escape all the noise. But I'm really happy I managed to do it. I've done it over 4 days, and on to the next one.